Evolution of the industry has changed to where record keeping is tremendously more important.
Made a new rule and everybody had to start keeping records.
Everything's documented.
I'm Joe Dager, and I'm part of the business development team at ApRecs. With me is Britt Dudak. Britt is the Solutions Experience Manager at ApRecs and also focuses on project management support, both in product development and product implementation. Britt, I'm glad you could come here. The other day I was browsing the PSP module in ApRecs, and it's got a new tab on it.
Absolutely, Joe, and great time to sit down and talk about it really briefly. We've got a new tab out there. It's called Watch. And Watch is really a new function that we've got for PSPs to be able to look out for products that are being used on their customer products that are coming into their warehouse, being able to proactively look at various aspects of that. But let me talk about some of this kind of sub functionalities of the Watch tab. The first one is the watch list itself. Right now we've got PSPs that are shipping all across the globe, and every part of the globe has a different requirement as to what kind of food safety requirements they have for products moving into that. We hear the buzz term MRL, or minimum residue level. They're a list of active ingredients for chemicals that have been applied to the product, and in certain markets, certain products either aren't allowed or they're only allowed at a certain level. So we have a product now under Watch to allow a PSP to have awareness of what has been not only applied to the fruit, but what's been recommended to be applied to the fruit or their other products for all of their customer base, or even part of their customer base. And it's even set up in a way that once you establish this watch list, it will remind you twice a day. Go back and look at records and look at recommendations that have been written since the last time you got a report, and warn you if there's something that you should be on the watch for. You've got a particular active ingredient that may have been recommended for one of your growers that might violate a European Union MRL list. And so that's what Watch does. We allow you to create this list, and it rolls along and it updates continuously as the database is updated by growers and field service organizations that are writing recommendations. So it shows up in what we call the Alerts tab, which puts out a fairly lengthy list of any of these concerns or warnings that we have out there, which can be easily exported out into Excel, any other format that you wish, so that you can analyze it over time. And so we think it's a great functionality. It keeps the PSP very aware of what's going on.
One of the other things underneath that tab is Snapshot. And I think there's two different tabs underneath that, or a drop down. Can you explain them?
There's two. There's Snapshot and Custom Snapshot, and this takes it to even a greater level of awareness. The watch list basically allows you to take a particular list of active ingredients that you're looking out for and look at your entire grower base or part of your grower base. Well, now let's flip it on its head, turn it sideways under Snapshot and say, okay, let's look on a grower basis across multiple watch lists, because you may, as a packer, shipper, processor, be sending fruit potentially to multiple marketplaces, and they all have different MRLs. And so what this does under Snapshot is it pivots the table and says, by grower and by crop and by variety, if you wish, which one is compliant in which one of the market watches you set up. You can say grower X producing staccato cherries, and looking back over all the records, they're compliant in Japan, they're compliant in Australia, they're compliant in New Zealand, but maybe they're not compliant in the European Union. And with just a touch on that Snapshot tab, you can see all of the watches that you have set up based on the grower, the crop, and the variety. It's a very handy tool for market awareness.
I think it's kind of interesting. In fact, when you think of just what happened in Russia with the fruit getting, let's say, banned to be shipment into Russia, there might be a lot of people starting to scramble and to look at other markets real quick.
Absolutely, and this just gives you a very wonderful and quick and easy tool to figure out if the product that you have is compliant for other markets, if you have to find another destination for it because of other markets being closed to our products. But the fourth tab and this is the one you alluded to, is the custom snapshot, which really starts to bring in the full functionality of what ApRecs can do for a marketing concern. And custom snapshot allows you to push into ApRecs scouting data. And using our Scout platform or even custom PSPs that have their own formats can push that data into the system. And what it does is it brings in projected harvest dates, it brings in quality data, quantity data, size data, all on a per grower, per crop, per variety basis. And what's key here is that with knowing harvest dates, potential harvest dates, you can go and check for pre-harvest interval violations, and that's one of the big things in food safety. You have to make sure that if something was applied, you don't pick it before it's outside of it's through its pre-harvest window. Custom snapshot will show you exactly whether or not there is a pre-harvest violation, and if so, how many days until it's out of its window and it's eligible to be picked and sent to market. As well as it also gives you the dates of the last time an active ingredient on your watch list was applied to it. It also tells you how current their records are, because our system is only as good as the records that are put into it. And if a grower hasn't put application records into the system for, say, 2 weeks prior to their cherry harvest, well, most of us know that they're missing a few. And so this will alert you, the packer, to the grower saying, hey, wait a second, we know that you've got some records out there that need to be input into the system, because the shipper has to have those records to send it off to the marketplace. And so it gives you a total awareness based on what the growers either are or aren't doing, as well as what the packer, shipper, processor's field staff is doing to estimate harvest, and putting all that together to make sure that the product going to market is compliant with all the requirements of that market, and do it in a quick and simple and easy place.
So this information is pretty dynamic.
Very much so, and that's the beauty of this process, is that it rolls along with the system. It's not just static. It's just you can continually update the scouting data. It always looks back. It compares them. It uses real-time information. But the neat thing is that all this data has always existed out there somewhere, either in somebody's head or on somebody's scratch pad. Now it exists in one place on the cloud. And now it's accessible by those that can really put it to use and maximize the profit potential of their product for their operation as well as their growers.
Well, I'm really excited about it, Britt. I want to thank you for your time. Look forward to learning more about this.
All right. Hey, thanks, Joe.